circulation of the heart. Here you can see there are two arteries which supply the heart, right coronary artery and the left coronary artery. Right coronary artery, which arises from the anterior aortic sinus. There is a sinus at the starting of the ascending aorta. You can see over here. So this artery, this is the right coronary artery, which gives branches to the atrium and to the ventricle. The first branch over here, it gives to the infundibulum of the right ventricle and is called as a right conus artery. Then it gives this ventricular rami and also give the atrial rami. One branch over here you can see which goes to the SA node is called nodal artery. At the inferior border of the heart, and sometimes this branch, larger ventricular branch which accompanying the inferior border of the heart, this branch is the marginal artery, marginal branch of the right coronary artery. This artery, the right coronary artery, runs between the right atrium and the right ventricle, so right atrioventricular group, and then it winds on the inferior border of the heart. Then it runs into this is the right ventricle, and this is a posterior atrioventricular group. At the crux of the heart, which is the junction of the two interventricular and interatrial and the atrioventricular septum. So this is the crux of the heart. It gives a branch. This is posterior interventricular branch. So this is the right coronary branch, which is the posterior interventricular branch, and itself in osmosis with the circumflex branch of the left coronary artery. So this is the right coronary artery. Left coronary artery, which arises from the posterior left aortic sinus, then it divides into the left anterior descending artery, the left interventricular artery, and another branch is the circumflex artery. This is circumflex artery going. Anterior interventricular artery descend into the interventricular septum between the right and the left ventricle. You can see this big branch which supply mainly the left ventricle, and the one largest branch of this, it also gives the conus artery to the vestibule of the left ventricle. It gives the ventricular rami, and one larger branch of this interventricular left interventricular artery is a diagonal branch, which corresponds to the left border of the heart. This is the again the anterior interventricular artery, and because of this, their notch is produced at the inferior border of the heart is called incisura apicis cordis, because of this left interventricular artery. This interventricular artery anasmosis with the posterior interventricular artery. This anasmosis is potential anasmosis. Then the circumflex branch is run between the posterior part of this between the left atrium, the septum between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and in anasmosis with the right coronary artery at the crux of the heart. The crux of the heart. This is the arterial circulation, and for the venous circulation we have coronary sinus, which you have seen in the opening. Okay.
Interior of right atrium. The interior of the right atrium is divided into two parts. One is sinus venerum, which is smooth part, and another is the atrium proper. The sinus venerum receives all major openings of vein. The first one is the superior vena cava. The superior vena cava is guarded by no valve, right? No valve is there. It opens into the right atrium. Below there is an opening of inferior vena cava. The inferior vena cava is guarded by a valve which is known as east-taking valve. Next to it there is an opening of coronary sinus. The coronary sinus is guarded by a valve which is known as sebaceous valve. Another minute openings are also present in the heart, venous opening, which is more prominent in a live heart due to the tone of muscles. So these openings are known as foramina cordis minimi. Now, the atrium proper. This anterior part of the atrium has rough musculi pectini. Hope you can appreciate these parallel muscles which are known as musculi pectini, and crista terminalis. The crista terminalis is present. The crista terminalis is present between the sinus venerum and the atrium proper. So this is the crista terminalis, right? This part also includes the auricle. The auricle is actually an extended part of the atrium, which is the most favorable site for the formation of the thrombosis. Now the right side of the interatrial septum. Now the right side of the interatrial septum has also some features. The first one is the fossa ovalis. Hope you can appreciate this crescent form. This is the limbus fossa ovalis. Alright. The next, this tendon, which is a subendothelial ridge. This is known as tendon of Tordo. This tendon of Tordo helps in forming the triangle of Cox. The triangle of Cox is formed by the one side. On the one side there is a tricuspid valve. Another side there is a tendon of Tordo, and below there is an opening of coronary sinus. So this area between these three parts is known as triangle of Cox. The clinical importance of triangle of Cox is that there is a presence of AV node. The next is that, hope you can appreciate this bulging here. This is known as torus aorticus. The torus aorticus is present due to the right posterior aortic sinus, which is present in the aorta. That part bulges in the right atrium, and this bulging is known as then torus aorticus. Sometimes there is a presence of intravenous tubercle also at the termination of inferior vena cava. Alright. In the last, the tricuspid valve. This valve, these are the cusp of the valve. I'll give more detail about the valve and the cusps in the right when I'll be dealing with the right ventricle. Now I'll begin with the interior of right ventricle. The right ventricle has two parts. The one is the rough part, which is known as inflow part, and the another is the outflow part. Outflow part is smooth and conical and truncated, right? So I'll begin with the inflow part. In the inflow part, there is a cusp. First, there is an attachment of annulus. This is annulus, tricuspid annulus. Then there are cusps, 3 leaflets or cusp. That's why we call this valve as tricuspid valve. Then there are chorda tendines. These thread-like structures are chorda tendinae, which attaches to a papillary muscle, attaches to the papillary muscles. The walls of the ventricle has a lot of muscular pectini, which are further divided into ridges and bridges. The most prominent ridge is the supraventricular ridge. And the most prominent bridge actually joins the two ventricle walls with each other is your septomarginal, or you can say moderate band, right? Which attaches, one side attaches to the papillary muscle, another attaches to the interventricular septum. So this is the moderator band, this is the septomarginal supraventricular ridge, right? Moderator band, and others are the ridges and bridges. Papillary muscle, chorda tendinae, right? Now the outflow part. The outflow part is conical and truncated and smooth also, right? And from here the pulmonary trunk begins. But there is a valve present here which is known as semilunar valve. I hope you can appreciate the leaflet of this valve, which is semilunar in shape. Clear? The left interior of left ventricle. The muscles of the muscular wall of the left ventricle is much more thicker than the right ventricle. It is again divided into two parts. The lower part is rough, right, and it has more trabecular cardiac, right, which develops from the primitive ventricle. The uppermost part is also known as aortic vestibule, right? This aortic vestibule is the outflow part of a ventricle. It is again conical, truncated and smooth, right? Now the valve guiding here is the bicuspid valve, and above is again a semilunar valve from where the arch of aorta will arise. In the last, the left atrium. The left atrium is almost smooth, and it has 4 openings of pulmonary vein. Right atrium is a quadrilateral chamber. Right atrium forms part of sternocostal surface, entire right border, and 1/3 of base of heart. The interior of right atrium consists of posterior smooth part, sinus venerum, and anterior proper part, which is rough, which includes the auricle also. The two parts are separated by a ridge, which is known as crista terminalis. Right? Now I'll begin with the sinus venerum. The sinus venerum receives the termination of all the large veins. The first one is the superior vena cava. Opening of superior vena cava. The opening of superior vena cava does not guarded by any valve. Then there is an opening of inferior vena cava. The inferior vena cava opening is guarded by a valve which is known as Eustachian valve. Then there is an opening of coronary sinus. The opening of coronary sinus is guarded by a valve known as Thebatius valve. Another openings, a minute, very small openings are also present here, which is mainly prominent in a live heart, not in a cadaveric heart, because the tone of the heart is maintained in a live heart. So the small openings of vein are known as foramina cordis minimus. Now, the atrium proper. This part is rough, right? Consists of crista terminalis and musculi pectini. The musculi pectini are the parallel muscles, and it also includes the right auricle. The right auricle is a most favorable site for forming the formation of the thrombosis. Now I'll go to the right side of the interatrial septum, which includes foramen fossa ovalis. Hope you can appreciate this crescent form. This is known as limbus fossa ovalis. Then there is a tendon of Tordo. This is a subendothelial ridge. This is a subendothelial ridge which is known as tendon of Todaro, right? The tendon of Todaro forms a triangle of Cox. Means one of the boundary of the triangle of Cox is formed by the tendon of Tordo. So above there is a tendon of Tordo, below there is an opening of coronary sinus, and here there is a tricuspid valve. So this area in between these three structures is known as triangle of Cox. And the clinical importance of this triangle of Cox is there is a AV node present. Yeah, AV node of the heart is present between this triangle of Cox. Now, hope you can appreciate this bulging here. This bulging is known as torus aorticus. This is mainly more prominent in a live heart, and this bulging is caused by the pressure of right posterior aortic sinus. So the right posterior aortic sinus bulges into the right atrium and gives this swelling here, and this is known as torus aorticus, right? And in the last there is a tricuspid valve. I hope you can appreciate this tricuspid valve here. I'll give more detail of this valve in right atrium when I'll deal with the interior of right ventricle. Now I'll begin with the right ventricle. This is the right ventricle. It is divided into two parts. The inflow part, which is rough, and outflow part. The outflow part is smooth and truncated. Blur आ रहा है ना?